It's a devastating smear and stain on his career. If he's guilty, we'll see what happens.
We're gonna get all the information from the commission, and then we'll obviously, make a statement.
From he goes immediately with a right hand. Scores down. First round. Oh with a right hand. First round. Barrios is down in the first 30 seconds.
Look, yeah, I thought he was gonna do a little bit better, but Ryan showed that he can box a little bit.
Boxing pros are calling out Ryan Garcia for cheating against Mario Barrios, and this scandal is exploding faster than anyone expected. When Shakur Stevenson dropped that VADA reference on social media, it wasn't some casual comment. He was throwing serious shade at how impossibly sharp and explosive Ryan looked that night. Think about it. Shakur's been in there with elite competition. He knows what natural athleticism looks like versus something that raises red flags. And for him to publicly question Ryan's performance, that's not trash talk. That's a fighter who's seen something that doesn't add up. Now the whispers in boxing gyms across the country are turning into full conversations, with seasoned pros suggesting Ryan's performance crossed the line from impressive to suspicious.
Thought Ryan did his thing tonight. I don't know, was VADA involved in this fight?
Is that how good he looked? Is that how good he
at
looked?
the end of the day, I seen him with Rolly. He didn't look like that. So my question is
Oscar de la Hoya's response to these cheating allegations is making everything worse for Team Garcia. Instead of staying quiet or addressing concerns professionally, Oscar's going full defense mode, dismissing every accusation as baseless rumors and internet speculation. But here's what's wild about his approach. The harder he fights these allegations, the more guilty it makes Ryan look. Smart promoters know when to let controversies die down naturally. But Oscar's out here acting like someone personally attacked his family. He keeps saying there's no evidence, but that's exactly what someone would say if they were trying to cover something up. Boxing insiders are starting to wonder if Oscar knows something the public doesn't, because his aggressive defense is raising more questions than it's answering.
Information from the commission, and then we'll obviously, make a statement. But right now we have to get the B samples and all that, so yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. But it's like there's no room for
David Benavides tried to play it safe when asked about the situation, saying he doesn't want to make accusations without solid proof. But then he dropped a bomb by warning that confirmed cheating would be absolutely disastrous for boxing's credibility. Think about what he's really saying here. Benavides has been around elite fighters his entire career. He's seen natural explosiveness and technical improvement. For him to even acknowledge that cheating could be confirmed means he's seeing the same red flags other pros are seeing. Meanwhile, casual fans are looking at Ryan's performance and thinking it was just a great night. They saw the sharp timing, the explosive speed, the counter-punching that looked otherworldly. But professional fighters are watching those same highlights and asking themselves how someone jumps to that level overnight.
So that's why I really don't want to talk about it, because until all the information, I don't want to bash somebody if the information's not right. But if that's really what he did,
Terence Crawford's reaction reveals everything you need to know about how boxing's elite really view this performance. Sure, he praised Ryan's technical improvement and smart execution publicly. He talked about the distance control and sharp counters. But listen to what Crawford said next. He specifically mentioned that future fights will be much tougher, especially against fighters with strong defensive awareness. That's not random analysis. That's Crawford subtly suggesting Ryan might not be able to replicate this performance when the stakes are higher and the drug testing is more intense. Crawford's been in there with everyone. When he talks about mental familiarity and defensive awareness, he's talking about fighters who know how to expose artificial advantages.
I definitely think that he's going to have a lot of confidence, but at the same time, if he's going up with a fighter like Shakur, it's going to be different because they've been in the ring with each other many a times as kids, and he's going to have that edge mentally over Ryan, even going in the ring, set aside his skill.
The pressure surrounding Ryan Garcia going into this fight was absolutely massive, and that context makes his explosive performance even more suspicious. He walked into that arena carrying the weight of his previous loss, social media controversies, and questions about his mental state. Fighters under that kind of pressure usually show nerves or ring rust. They start cautious, feel out their opponent, gradually build confidence. But Ryan came out like a man possessed from the opening bell. He stepped forward immediately with zero hesitation, throwing combinations with the confidence of someone who knew exactly how the fight would unfold. That aggressive aura wasn't nervous energy or natural adrenaline. That was the confidence of someone who knew they had an unfair advantage.
Tonight, a ton of pressure, and he started this fight like the world was watching. He started this fight like he had a point to prove. He came out in the first round after an immaculate walkout from both fighters. Mario Barrios had Aztec dancers and drums as his walkout. Ryan Garcia had the aura, the ambiance in his walkout. And the first round, seconds in, this was a statement move for Ryan Garcia. He didn't even stay in his corner.
Tim Bradley's criticism of the corner strategy exposes another layer of this controversy. He questioned Joe Goossen's game plan, pointing out how Mario Barrios kept walking forward without making effective adjustments. But here's what Bradley isn't saying directly. When a fighter is moving and countering at superhuman levels, normal tactical adjustments become impossible. Barrios wasn't failing to adapt because his corner was incompetent. He was failing to adapt because Ryan was operating at a speed and precision level that doesn't exist naturally. The sharp angles, the perfect timing, the precision shots that Bradley praised, those aren't just signs of a great night. Those are signs of enhanced reflexes and reaction time that come from artificial assistance.
Hell, was that Goosen? What kind of game plan was that Goosen? Like, come on now. Come on. Bruh, he kept coming. Goosen, the game plan was to come forward, but bro, he kept coming forward and was getting hit like a motherfucker, man. Like you had Ryan Garcia just moving on angles, popping the shit out of it, timing the shit out of damn Barrios. Make that make sense when you gonna make the adjustment, Goosen? You didn't make no adjustments in the damn corner. You didn't have no plan B, none of that shit.
The social media explosion around this fight reveals how much the boxing world is divided on what they witnessed. Steven Espinoza noted that online hype doesn't always translate to pay-per-view success, but the reaction to Ryan's performance was unlike anything we've seen recently. Fans were posting highlight reels within minutes of the fight ending, but look closer at those discussions. Half the comments are praising Ryan's comeback. The other half are asking the same question over and over. How does someone look that different from their previous performances? Tim Bradley kept emphasizing Ryan's motivation level, calling it the most focused version since the Haney fight. But even Bradley seemed puzzled by the dramatic improvement, describing the athletic confidence as almost unnatural.
Did Ryan look like he was fast in the motherfucker? Yeah, that motherfucker looked fast as hell. Was Ryan counter-punching? His timing was on point. Yeah, his time was on point. Was Ryan Garcia, was he motivated? Hell yeah, he was motivated. The most motivated I've seen him since the Devin Haney fight. But we know what happened after.
Chris Algieri's assessment that Ryan finally reached his true potential sounds great on paper, but it raises serious questions about timing and consistency. Algieri talked about Ryan combining natural talent with boxing intelligence, suggesting his amateur background finally clicked with his physical gifts. But professional fighters don't just suddenly access their full potential in one night. Development happens gradually through training camps, sparring sessions, and competitive experience. When a fighter jumps from inconsistent performances to looking like a completely different athlete overnight, that's not natural progression. That's artificial enhancement. Algieri's comment that this performance needs to be repeated to establish legitimacy is actually the most telling part. Because deep down, even Ryan's supporters know this level of performance isn't sustainable without help.
Potential, finally, because obviously the talent was always there, the physical gifts were there, the speed, the power, and people forget about his high-level amateur pedigree, his background. You know, he's got a boxing IQ as well, and he just put it all together. I don't know if it was the camp, I don't know if it was just psychologically he was ready and mature enough, but whatever he did, he needs to be able to repeat that, because that version of Ryan Garcia.
Sean Zittle's observation that he expected the fight to end much earlier reveals just how dominant Ryan looked that night. He thought Mario Barrios would get stopped in the first few rounds, which shows how overwhelming Ryan's advantages appeared. That right-hand knockdown in round one wasn't just a good shot. It was delivered with timing and power that seemed almost superhuman. Barrios showed incredible toughness by surviving, but surviving what exactly? A natural performance or an enhanced one? The comparison to the Haney fight is particularly interesting, because that's another performance where Ryan's explosiveness raised eyebrows among boxing insiders, who understand the difference between natural ability and artificial enhancement.
Garcia was dominant. I didn't think Barrios was going to make it out of the first few rounds, but not only did he made it the distance. I give him credit for hanging tough. Yeah, he's always a tough guy. But, you know, Garcia, first of all, drops him with the right hand in round one. He was on point. He was sharp. He looked like the guy that fought Devin Haney.
Bruce Carrington's breakdown of Mario Barrios' limitations actually exposes the real issue with this fight. He explained that Barrios' forward-walking style made him vulnerable to counterpunchers, which is absolutely true. But experienced fighters like Barrios don't just walk into shots all night unless their opponent is operating at an impossible level. Carrington praised Ryan's movement and timing, but what he's really describing is reaction speed that defies natural human limitations. When a fighter can consistently counter every forward movement with perfect timing and explosive power, that's not just good stylistic matchup dynamics. That's enhanced reflexes that allow split-second reactions no natural fighter can sustain for 12 rounds.
As Mario, sometimes he can fall into that one-dimensional type style, you know, being a little stationary, staying at the mid-range and not being first, staying at the mid-range and not, you know, countering off and firing off. He's not the most reactive type of fighter, you know. If he can have his way and, you know, be technical, you're fighting his pace, then he's most comfortable. But when it's not like that, then it's kind of tough. That I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I think that Ryan Garcia, I think that the style of Barrios kind of, you know, also helped with Ryan's style. So
Oscar de la Hoya's description of Ryan's performance as a masterclass reveals how desperately Team Garcia wants to control the narrative around this fight. He praised the calm, controlled boxing style and consistent jab work, trying to frame it as tactical discipline rather than artificial enhancement. But listen to the language Oscar uses. He keeps emphasizing how perfectly Ryan stayed aligned with the game plan, how he maintained patience instead of rushing. That's not how fighters naturally perform under pressure after controversial periods in their careers. That's how someone performs when they know they have advantages their opponent doesn't. The composure Oscar keeps praising isn't natural confidence. It's the composure that comes from knowing the outcome is predetermined.
That jab he was popping, the way he was calm, cool, collective, literally. But I love the fact that he was using his combinations and he stuck to the game.
David Benavidez's praise for Ryan's hand speed and physical explosiveness carries extra weight because Benavidez understands elite-level athleticism better than most analysts. When he talks about Ryan's sharp jab and body shots, he's describing technical execution that impressed even seasoned professionals. But Benavidez also mentioned this fight was an important comeback statement, which highlights the pressure Ryan was under to perform. The restored swagger and renewed championship mentality that Benavidez described doesn't just appear overnight through natural training. That level of confidence comes from knowing you have an edge your opponent doesn't know about. The prediction that Ryan could become a major threat at 147 pounds is particularly interesting because it assumes this performance level can be maintained consistently.
Man, he looked good. He looked good. He had good jab, good movement, good body shots, and bro, his speed is crazy. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's a lot of good fights from him at 147. You know, this is a good bounce back from him because this is coming back from his first loss. I mean, from his loss with Rolly, and now he's a world champion again. So, you know, not only did he gain his confidence back, gain his mojo back.
Abdullah Mason's mixed assessment reveals the confusion even experienced observers felt watching this fight. He believed Ryan looked physically strong and dangerous, predicting a potential stoppage in rounds 10 or 11. But then he admitted Ryan didn't fully reach the expected level of devastating finishing power many anticipated. This contradiction makes perfect sense when you consider the possibility of enhancement. Ryan looked superhuman in terms of speed and reflexes, but knockout power can't be artificially boosted the same way reaction time can be. The clinical execution that Mason felt was missing wasn't about Ryan holding back. It was about the limitations of what artificial assistance can actually improve versus natural finishing instinct.
Ryan looked pretty strong. He looked sharp. You know, I said that he'll probably get him out of there like 11-10. He feeling good.
Rolly Romero's sarcastic reaction and talk about potential rematches adds another layer to this controversy. His joking about callouts and suggesting Ryan might avoid certain fights isn't just typical boxer trash talk. Romero's been in there with enhanced and natural fighters. His confidence about defeating Ryan and the playful tone about Ryan being afraid carries the undertone of someone who suspects the playing field wasn't level in the Barrios fight. The hypothetical scenario about facing Devin Haney again is particularly telling because that's another fight where Ryan's performance raised questions among boxing insiders who understand the difference between natural explosiveness and artificial enhancement.
My amateur pedigree, I could box, I could move, I could box, I could take my time. I don't always just have to go for the knockout. I didn't want to get too ahead of myself. Mario was countering a lot of fast shots. Could have caught me in between the shots, so I had to be very selective on my opportunities, and I didn't want to get caught with a big shot, so I took.
Ryan Garcia's own explanation of his tactical approach reveals the most damning evidence of all. He talked about demonstrating his amateur pedigree and boxing intelligently rather than relying on knockout power. But listen to how he describes his decision-making process. He claims he avoided reckless exchanges because Barrios was countering with fast shots. But if you watch the fight, Ryan was consistently beating Barrios to the punch with impossible reaction speed. His explanation about patience and selective punching doesn't match what actually happened in the ring. A natural fighter showing patience looks tentative and calculated. Ryan looked like someone who could see punches coming before they were thrown and react accordingly.
You're going to confuse him. He doesn't know how to fight inside the ring. You get out jabbing, you get out boxing, and that's exactly what it is. And then lastly, I said, everybody's going to look out for that left hook. But we're going to trick them.
Henry Garcia's breakdown of the tactical strategy used against Barrios sounds sophisticated on paper, but it describes execution that borders on superhuman. He talked about dominating center ring through sharp jabs and unpredictable combinations, using feints to set up the left hook while disguising attack sequences. But professional fighters train specifically to recognize and counter these exact tactics. When Henry describes Ryan's ability to keep Barrios constantly guessing through reversing punch patterns, he's describing reaction speed and processing ability that exceeds natural human limitations. The ring craft and calculated striking selection he praised isn't just good training. It's enhanced cognitive function that allows split-second tactical adjustments no natural fighter can maintain consistently. So here's where we stand with this explosive controversy that's dividing the entire boxing world. Ryan Garcia delivered a performance that looked technically brilliant and explosively dominant, impressing casual fans and some analysts who saw it as his career-defining moment. But boxing professionals who understand elite-level competition are raising serious questions about whether that performance was naturally possible. Cheating allegations aren't going away because too many credible voices in the sport are seeing red flags that can't be explained by normal training improvements. This isn't just about one fight anymore. This is about the integrity of professional boxing and whether fans can trust what they're watching is real competition. What do you think after seeing all this evidence laid out? Drop your honest opinion in the comments. Do you believe Ryan's performance was natural, or are the pros right to be suspicious? If this breakdown opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the scenes, smash that like button, subscribe for more boxing truth, and hit the notification bell because this story is far from over. But wait, there's another angle to this story that's even more disturbing than what we've already covered. The timing of Ryan Garcia's career trajectory tells a story that boxing insiders are whispering about but won't say publicly. Look at his recent social media behavior leading up to this fight. Remember all those erratic posts, the conspiracy theories, the mental health concerns that had everyone worried. Now suddenly he shows up looking like the most focused, composed version of himself we've ever seen. That's not how recovery from mental struggles typically works. Real healing is gradual, with ups and downs, moments of doubt mixed with growing confidence. But Ryan walked into that ring like someone who had discovered a magic switch that turned off all his previous limitations overnight. The pharmaceutical enhancement technology available to modern athletes is light years beyond what most fans understand. We're not talking about old-school steroids that just build muscle mass. Today's performance-enhancing substances can improve reaction time, increase focus, reduce anxiety, and boost hand-eye coordination in ways that are almost impossible to detect. The testing protocols in boxing are nowhere near as sophisticated as what's used in Olympic sports or professional cycling. A fighter with the right connections and enough money can access cognitive enhancers that make them process information faster, react quicker, and maintain peak concentration for extended periods. When you combine that with Ryan's natural talent, you get exactly what we saw against Mario Barrios. Here's what really bothers me about Oscar de la Hoya's defensive response to these allegations. He keeps saying people are jealous of Ryan's success and trying to tear down a young champion. But Oscar's been in this game for decades. He knows what natural improvement looks like versus artificial enhancement. His aggressive defense isn't protecting Ryan's reputation, it's protecting a massive financial investment. Golden Boy Promotions has millions of dollars riding on Ryan Garcia becoming a pay-per-view superstar. If these cheating allegations gain traction and lead to stricter testing or official investigations, their entire business model around Ryan collapses overnight. Oscar's not defending an athlete, he's defending a brand worth potentially hundreds of millions of dollars. The most damning piece of evidence might be how different Ryan looked physically that night compared to his previous fights. Professional fighters maintain consistent physical conditioning between training camps. Their muscle definition, body fat percentage, and overall physique don't dramatically change from fight to fight. But Ryan looked like he had added lean muscle mass while somehow becoming more explosive and faster. That combination is extremely difficult to achieve naturally, especially for someone who's been training at the professional level for years. His facial structure even looked more defined, his eyes appeared more focused, and his overall presence seemed enhanced. These are classic signs of pharmaceutical assistance that experienced fighters recognize immediately. What's really interesting is how other young fighters are responding to this controversy behind the scenes. Sources close to several top prospects are saying they're frustrated because they're competing clean while potentially facing enhanced opponents. The pressure to level the playing field is becoming enormous. Some fighters are reportedly asking their teams about legal ways to improve reaction time and cognitive function. Others are demanding more stringent testing protocols before agreeing to big fights. This isn't just about Ryan Garcia anymore. This is about whether boxing becomes a sport where clean athletes can compete fairly, or whether enhancement becomes the new standard that everyone has to adopt to remain competitive. The technical breakdown of Ryan's performance reveals details that most fans missed, but professionals caught immediately. His punch accuracy percentage was abnormally high for someone under that much pressure. His defensive movement looked almost robotic in its precision. Most tellingly, his output remained consistent throughout all 12 rounds without the natural fatigue patterns that affect every human athlete. Professional boxers know that even the best conditioned fighters show subtle signs of slowing down as fights progress. Reaction time decreases slightly, footwork becomes less crisp, punch combinations get shorter. But Ryan maintained the same explosive speed and precision in round 12 that he showed in round 1. That's not natural human performance. The gambling aspect of this controversy adds another layer of complexity that's making people nervous. Ryan Garcia was a significant underdog going into this fight, with many experts picking Mario Barrios to win or at least make it competitive. If someone knew Ryan would perform at an enhanced level, the betting opportunities would have been enormous. Investigators in other sports have found connections between performance enhancement and unusual betting patterns. While there's no public evidence of anything suspicious with this fight, the combination of unexpected performance and financial opportunity creates exactly the kind of situation that attracts corruption. Boxing's history with gambling scandals makes this angle particularly concerning for people who care about the sport's integrity. Social media is becoming a battlefield where fans and fighters are choosing sides on this issue. The comment sections under Ryan's posts are split between supporters praising his comeback and skeptics asking pointed questions about his transformation. Other fighters are being careful about what they say publicly, but their private conversations tell a different story. Gym owners across the country report that the Garcia situation is dominating discussions during training sessions. Young fighters are asking their coaches direct questions about what's possible naturally versus what requires assistance. The controversy is forcing uncomfortable conversations about the current state of professional boxing. What makes this situation particularly explosive is that Ryan Garcia has become a social media sensation with millions of followers who aren't traditional boxing fans. These newer fans don't understand the technical aspects of what they're watching. They see the highlight reels and assume this is just what elite boxing looks like. But longtime boxing enthusiasts and professionals are seeing something completely different. The disconnect between casual fan perception and expert analysis is creating two parallel narratives about the same fight. This divide is making it harder to have honest conversations about what actually happened in that ring. The pressure on athletic commissions to investigate these allegations is building rapidly. Boxing regulation is already fragmented across different states and organizations, making consistent testing protocols nearly impossible to enforce. But if enough credible voices in the sport continue raising questions about Ryan's performance, officials will be forced to take action. The problem is that many performance-enhancing substances leave the system quickly, making retroactive testing meaningless. The time for investigation was immediately after the fight, and that window may have already closed. This timing issue is exactly why some fighters are suggesting the delay in serious scrutiny was intentional. Here's the bottom line that everyone in boxing knows but won't say publicly. Ryan Garcia's performance against Mario Barrios was either one of the most remarkable natural athletic achievements in recent boxing history, or it was the result of sophisticated enhancement that's setting a dangerous precedent for the entire sport. The technical evidence, the timing, the dramatic improvement, and the reactions from experienced professionals all point towards something that goes beyond natural ability. This controversy isn't going away because too many credible people saw too many red flags to ignore. Boxing is at a crossroads where the decisions made about this situation will determine whether fans can trust what they're watching for years to come. The truth needs to come out before more fights happen under these suspicious circumstances.